let's take a 4-patch quilt block, add a little twist to it, and really elevate the way our simple 4-patch quilt looks. All right, let's get started. Okay, so if you have not made a 4-patch quilt block before, I have a short video showing a quick and easy way to put one together. So I will link that down below for you if you want to refer to it. So let's get rid of all these 4 patches for now and cut our accent fabric. So make sure you have a really sharp rotary cutter here because I'm going to be cutting through a few layers of fabric right now. So I'm just squaring up 2 sides and then I'm going to cut 2-inch strips of fabric. And you're going to need 4 2-inch squares for each 4-patch quilt block that you have. So that's just going to depend on the size quilt you want. So after cutting the 2-inch strips, I'm going to subcut them down into those 2-inch squares. Doing it this way really makes quick work of it. You just have to make sure you're really confident with lining up all of your lines on your ruler with the previous cuts you've made. So here I have those 4 2-inch squares for the one block that I'm going to be demoing, and we're going to be sewing corner to corner on the diagonal. So I'm going to lay these all out right sides together. If you feel more comfortable, you can mark corner to corner with a marking utensil that you have, or you can use diagonal seam tape like I am here. So if you have diagonal seam tape, make sure your red line is lined up with the needle. And then you're going to line up one corner of your 2-inch square with the needle and the other corner that you're sewing to with the red line. It really makes quick work of sewing along a diagonal, and I love saving time when I'm working on a project. All right, so now that everything is sewn, you're going to cut a 1/4-inch seam allowance along each corner of this block. So I'm just going to get those cut and then I will press the seams open on this block. It looks a little silly right now, but trust me, it will really add a fun twist to a simple 4-patch. So there it looks all pressed. And here is the first layout I tried. So I kept it in that orientation of where the light in the dark blocks were in a checkerboard pattern for that original 4-patch, but if you turn 2 of those blocks and bring the darker fabric together, it makes a square in the center and kind of a flower or a star with the outer portion of this block. And it really looked so fun. I was so happy with how it turned out. And when you bring a whole bunch of them together, it really still has that checkerboard look to it. You can see you have some lighter squares and some darker squares, but then you have that blue accent fabric in the center making a diamond. It really adds a big punch to this quilt, making it look much more complicated than it actually was to sew together. So I decided to add on a border to mine to make a nice sized baby blanket. I like to add a thin inner border and then a wider outer border. So you can see I had to patch some of my strips together to make the right length. I like to line up that seam with a seam on a block. It kind of makes it look a little more intentional when you have to piece some strips together. And then I was very intentional with making sure my directional striped fabric lined up with the top of the quilt as well. So all the stripes were going in one direction. Now, a little tip, starch your border fabric and use a lot of pins so you don't get a lot of stretching when you sew. That's what can sometimes cause that wavy look. And also, I like to measure the width and the length of my quilt before adding on the border, because I will cut my border pieces to be the exact size of the quilt so that I'm not sewing longer strips on. That will also cause that wavy look to your quilt. Now, if you have any more border tips, please put them in the comments below. I would like to hear those. And they'll also be helpful to everyone else. So here are the 2 layouts that I tried out. Let me know which one you would have gone with. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.